Hello everyone, buongiorno a tutti. I hope you can hear me well. If not, just write in the chat if you got some audio problem. However, everything should be fine. We just checked it, and it's nice to see many of you connected to this webinar for the presentation of the new version of CMDBuild. I will go through some of the most important features that we introduced in this new version, and then I will show you some of these features. As always, I would ask you to write all the questions you have in the chat. Then I will, at the end of the webinar, I will try to answer them all. So I won't answer them during the webinar, but I will do that just at the end. But meanwhile, feel free to write as many questions as you have, and we'll, as I said, we'll go to them at the end of the webinar. Okay, we're very, let me say that us as Tecnoteca are very proud of this new version of CMDBuild, which most important feature is the introduction of the relation graph, which we will talk about in a few minutes. And yeah, let's get down to it. Okay, so just a few words about us, about the history of CMDBuild. Probably all of you know what CMDBuild is, but just to remind you, it's a configurable web application which allows you to model and manage database containing assets and allows you to handle all the related workflow operations. We also have another tool, which is CMDB Ready to Use, which has already included inside some of the most important workflow, most common, and they are all ITIL compliant. CMDBuild is a centralized management module which works with databases, of course, and external applications. All the applications that are connected to CMDBuild are open source, just as our tool is. So you get the automatic inventory, the documents management, the text processing, directory services, the feature about you can send and receive emails, monitoring systems, internet portals, and all the other information systems. But most of the other external sources, as long as they have a web service interface, they can be connected to quite easily to CMDBuild, which enhances the flexibility of our tool. As I just said, CMDBuild is released under a GPL open source license, which lets you use it, download it, use it, and benefit from our tool in a complete free way. And you can even contribute to the development of this. We will see that some of the new features that we introduced in this new version 2.4 have been realized thanks to the contribution of one of our customer, which we thank them very much. And but the most important contributions are the localization of the CMDBuild. CMDBuild project was developed started actually to be developed it was back 2005 when we designed CMDBuild for the very first time. Right, 5 years after Tecnoteca was found, we started to develop CMDBuild. A long story has passed by since then. In 2006, we released the very first version of our tool, and it was April actually, so it's going to be CMDBuild's birthday very soon, 10 years. So CMDBuild, as I just said, was project developed by Tecnoteca, which is the only official maintainer and owns, of course, its registered trademark. Although it's as I said, it's an open source tool, the GPL license. CMDBuild is managed by a team of 10 people, and its core code includes, as I said, 20 man-years of work. It's been 10 years since 2006, but at least 2 persons at the beginning, and then several more worked on it. So it could be even more than 20 man-years of work. to get to the point where we are today. CMDBuild is used by a lot of important public and private institutions, both in Italy and abroad. In 2000 and it was around 4 years ago that we started to actually conquer the world, and we spread our tool first in Europe, and then also in the United States, South America, Asia, Australia, basically all the continents of the world. There are some CMDBuild users, and thanks to its diffusion, it became one of the most popular CMMS, and especially in the open source field. We got around 30,000 downloads per year from the website SourceForge, and the localization, so the translation of it, it's already been done in 17 languages, the 17 most common languages. Recently, we actually discovered that there are big differences between the Brazilian Portuguese and the European Portuguese. So one of our users from Portugal helped us to translate it into European Portuguese. So now we have two different Portuguese localizations. But the most common, these 17 languages are there listed. You can read them, and we are always every day working into new localizations so that the tool becomes available for the majority of people out there. Just as I said before, CMDB version 2.4, which is the one we're presenting today, comes 10 years after the first release of CMDB, which was in 2006. You can see it there, just above the 10 years sign, the first interface of how CMDB looked like back 10 years ago. Pretty different from what you see now, and that shows how long the road that we walked in was. So during these 10 years, there have been a total of 44 releases, which were initially posted on CMDBuild project site. And then during just the last 4 years, we hosted them, they hosted them actually on the SourceForge repository, just as OpenMain, our other tool based on CMDBuild. So it's been 10 years of a continuous evolution of the project. We started, of course, from version 0.x, versions based on simple HTML pages, just as the one you see there. And actually, we stepped to the current Ajax interface, and we're still developing. Our roadmap is quite ambitious, but we are also quite certain that we will always release new important features. And let me say this, that all the features we release, even the relation graph, or all the new features, the mobile app, all the new features that we came out with during the last year and even before, were all based on your suggestions, your questions, your needs. So it really comes, CMDB really comes from let me say, from the bottom, from the users. So if it happens quite often that one of our customers ask us for new features, and we put them in the roadmap and develop them just to make CMDB every day better. Okay, so today what we will do is that we will present new important features of CMDB 2.4 release. I will go through three of the most important features, which are the interface for centralized localization, so translation management. It really got the localization process much easier, and you will see it in a few minutes. Then we will go through another important feature, which is the view of the history of the current session, and the possibility to quickly return back to one of, for example, one of the label you visited. And then we kept for the end the most important feature, which is the relation graph, which we are extremely proud of, and we really focused on it during the last month, and it looks to us it looks very good now. It's still got some room for improvement, such as the well, we'll talk about it in a few minutes. Okay, so now let's go to the CMDBuild interface, which you most likely all know. Okay, so here I'm not in the data management module. I'm just in the normal interface. You see, if you go down here, you'd see localizations, and you got here. You got basically you got the possibility to translate any of the objects you have here into your own into the language you know. So for example, here you got the default translation. So if no translation is provided into the tool, then the CMDB will use this one here. Otherwise, you can see we of course translate it into Italian here. You can at the beginning when you log in, you can set Italian or any other language, any of those 17 languages. You can set it, and then you will see all the everything that has been translated into this language here. So city, it's comune, and postcode is a cap, and well, it's very easy. In before you actually had to go through from the setup. You had to go through all that and change every single object, and it was quite a tedious, I would say, operation. Now it became much quicker, quite quicker, as I said. So then you can go to configuration, always in the localization menu, and you can click and select or unselect which languages you want to translate. See the Portuguese, the two Portugueses. We also have to change the flag here. So you can select or deselect the languages you wanted to translate your CMDBuild instance into. Then you just very easy click on save, success, and then you go back to localization, and there you go. You got the Francais here, so you can you will see building, and then just by clicking here, you write bâtiment. I hope it's spelled it right. Hope there's no many French people that will correct me. But anyways, bâtiment, I think it's like that, yeah. So and then there you go. Now you have your translation for Francais and French and Italian, and you can do this for of course, all the other objects, for the reports as well. Description. Here you got the timetable, and here you got the Italian translation. You can do very interesting report, which you find in CMDB ready to use, and that's the usage of the racks. Here we got the Italian translation. We can translate it in French. The default translation is in English. You can also get the Italian one and the other languages. That's something one can do. Just when we talk about the first and the second level of localization, the first level is already you already find it in CMDBuild when you download it, for example, from SourceForge, and these by first level of localization we actually mean the interface elements. For example, let's say the standard menus, the buttons, the page titles and tab labels, the header, the footer of the application, the administration interface, all that you can find. It's our what we call first level localization. That's been performed for 17 languages, as I showed you before. For the second level localization, which is what we are talking about right now, and which we can do through this new feature, is the localization translation of the data model, so the classes names, attributes names, domains names, descriptions, lookup names, reports, as you just see, the navigation menu, and so on. Of course, we cannot do this for everyone, since every user has his own data model, and with different names, classes, attributes, and all that. So it's much more straightforward for the users to actually translate it into his own language. Of course, you're very, very welcome to submit your translations and localization if you wish. We're very, very open and happy to receive them and to put them into our newer versions of CMDBuild, and actually also put you among our CMDBuild friends, which is a web page dedicated to our contributors who helped us developing the tool, such as, for example, the translators. Okay, so this is about it. Again, I'm reading that someone has some audio problem. I hope it's not like this for everyone. Anyways, you forgot to say that you will find the webinar. We will post it on YouTube, so you will find it and be able to re-see it if you missed some part of it. But to us, there shouldn't be any technical problem, so I'll just go on. Again, if you got any question about this, just feel free to write them, and then I will go back to it at the end of the webinar. Okay, let's now go switch to the second important feature we developed, which was the possibility you now can view the history of your current session, and you got the possibility to quickly return to one of the items you just visited. So I surfed a bit into CMDB before. I can do it even now. Let's say I go to the history and see what happened on the 7th of May 2015. Got the organizational unit has changed, which is why it's highlighted in green. And then go back to client details and for example, relations. There you go. I know that Aaron Anderson has this business service here. I surf here and navigate here through this, and then I want to go back. I want to go back to the beginning point. I just pick here, and you got a navigation chronology, and there you go. You got all the cards that you just visited, and then at what time you did, and then you can quickly go back to it. And there you go. We are back to the very, very first interface. So if you get lost in your surfing to the classes or to the objects, the elements of your database, just by clicking that, you can go back. Of course, if you perform any change, that won't be restored if you go back to the chronological thanks to that feature. If you, let's say, make process go on one step and then you go back through that feature, the activity, the action you just performed will be, of course, saved. It's just a visualization. It's not. It doesn't change anything that happened in the an activity that you perform. Okay, so that was I think was very quick, but probably most likely, yeah, went through all the elements that were important. I would go to, I see there's no questions, so that's very good. I will go then to the relation graph. New relation graph. So the new relation graph is based on the GUI framework, which I presented to you during the last webinar. Actually, just a few words. It's not based on Flash, but it's based on JavaScript, which of course makes it more up to date and doesn't need you to download any plugins or things like that. It's just free to go, since it's all based on JavaScript. We thought that CMDB really needed a relation graph because many of you out there asked it for it, and we really started to develop it and boosted on it because it was a very, very demanded feature. So we thought we really needed to step on it and work hard to develop what we wanted to get here. Actually, one of the most important thing we wanted to have, which let me say, not many, actually no one out there has it, is the 3D visualization. It's really cool. The new relation graph. So basically lets you have a visual view about all the nodes, all the connections that are between the objects. So here you got basically all the informations you have in the other interface, in the interface, the usual interface. This one here. Okay, if it's not clear, just if it was not clear, probably just need to click open relation graph and you get here. And the relation graph, of course, will start keeping in the center of the graph and opening all the elements from there, from the items you selected. So now we have selected the employee Aaron Anderson, and the relation graph will be centered on him. So here I selected, yeah, I got all the information I was saying that you got it also in the other interface. You can show less or more detail, and here you got all the cards that are that you can actually see in the graph here. So here we got the cards and the relation to our Aaron Anderson. I set to open the relation graph with the two levels of it automatically. I can also set it for one or less just by going down here. I will only see one level of classes related that have some relation with Aaron Anderson. So we know that has this notebook here. It is works in the business service as a business contact person in the business service. He probably using this printer. He's assigned this printer is assigned to Aaron Anderson. He is granted the access to these services here. He belongs to the, as a member of the organizational unit of the quality assurance. And this is this software here. This client, this desktop 10 for Mac 10 is assigned to Aaron Anderson. So let's. It's very important for this feature is extremely important in case well, bad luck for Aaron Anderson, but in case I want to fire him, I need to know which, for example, I need to quickly know which notebooks, printers, which services will be empty. So unless Aaron takes the PC with him when he leaves the office for the last time, we will know there's gonna be one PC with assigned to no users. The same with the software and all the other services. So this really simplifies a lot in such a case where, for example, you need to one user, one employee, sorry, leaves the office, leaves the company, then you got immediately. And you can immediately understand which objects are related to him. So here you got the card list, and here you got the classes that are included in the relation graph. Okay, so one other feature I can show you is that this. By clicking here, you can choose the navigation tree. This is basically a filter that you can set in the admin module, and can filter the view according to logic to the logic you want. Okay, here we got the organizational chart, for example. I just choose employee root, and this showed me only it's the connections between employees. This is just a first level. Let's see if we expand it to two levels, we will see. You see, here you go. Here you go. So only the employees. So if I need to know which employees are related to him in two levels, three levels, whatever, then you can just filter the navigation through using this navigation tree. We will do that the same with the network wiring. You will see it's quite interesting. Okay, so now we can actually remove it. I want to see the whole. I want to see the whole graph. Uh, um, okay, here you go. Okay, I'm just reopening. There you go. Okay, now I reopen the graph. I just scroll out to zoom out. Well, one thing I didn't say is that the icons can be customized. We chose these ones here, but can be easily customized by each user. So if you don't like them or you think they're confusing, you can just change them and have another look. Okay, so let's go back here. If I select again, if I select Aaron Anderson, for example, and I click, or well, it makes more sense actually to, I would go on building, I select the building, and then I will go to this icon here, which will select the subgraph that contains the selected element. So this shows me the connection between the Aaron Anderson and the building. So we know that this building here, this PC here is in this building, and this PC is connected, is related to Aaron Anderson. So just by holding Control on the keyboard and on Aaron Anderson and the building, the graph will show me the quickest path that connects the two elements. Then another thing, for example, let's select just clicking on the building. Okay, or okay, let's take Aaron Anderson. It's easier, I think. By clicking here, it will just reopen the graph from the node I selected. If I click on the others, it will do the same for the others. For, let's say, Brook, I click on it, it will just reopen it from Brook. Okay, Brook has not. Well, this is just an example database, so not all the fields are in there. So we'll just see that. Okay, let's go back to Aaron Anderson and let's reopen it from him with 2 levels here. Okay, then these are just some buttons to select. So here I can delete the selected nodes. So if I select this node and this one here, I can I just click on Control on the keyboard and clicked on it on them both, and I can delete the selected node. Of course, delete just from the graph, just from the visualization. I'm not going to delete them into the database. Yeah, let me underline this. All the modifications, all the editing you do here in the graph are not reflected into the database. The relation graph is just a visualization of all the elements for a quicker understanding of how the structure is and what the relations are. Let's say I need I need to, let's say, for example, to stop a firewall from working. I need to see which PCs will be affected. I can do that quickly from the relation graph. Otherwise, it would take a long time to go into the classic interface and clicking on the firewall and then see which objects, which PCs are related to it through the relation graph. This is definitely much easier. Or I need to change, I need to shut down a server and I need to see where it is and which other PCs or other elements, assets, IT assets are nested, connected to it. Then it will be. This is something I will definitely do through the relation graph. Okay, so one other interesting thing to see is the properties panel here. Here you got the tooltip for relations and the tooltip for titles. There's a space missing. You can just enable or disable the tooltip are these information that appear here. If I disable both, you won't see anything. See that's in case you got a lot of objects, a lot of sorry. In case you got a lot of options, those tooltips can be confusing, so you can just disable them. One thing I probably didn't mention is that if you go on the icon, you will see that the tooltip. Sorry, you will see the tooltip for it. If you move the mouse on the line, you will see the relation between this element here and the printer. So here you see that the Aaron Anderson is the printer is assigned to Aaron Anderson. And the printer is in this room here and in this floor here, and is supplied by this supplier here. So that's really, I think it's really useful. Also, this 3D visualization lets you. I hope it's quite smooth with your with the with what you're seeing too, but it is here, and I think it's really great feature to see all the relations that you have. Then one of the last things I wanted to show you is the threshold for clustering nodes. The tool automatically do some clustering of nodes, so groups together nodes according to the same categories, and you can set a limit for that, and of course there can be more, or this is the standard value. Also, for better visualization, you can change the node dimension and the edge length. So let's say we put it a bit bigger if they're too close to each other, and you will see they're more spread away from each other. So it's easier to see them. You can actually then have set labels, and so you don't need to go on it to pass the mouse on it to actually see what it is like thanks to the tooltip, but you can immediately see it thanks to the labels here, or you can remove them, or you can see only those ones that are selected. Here, as you saw, you can select the levels that you need to have. So, of course, the more levels you have, the more busy your relation graph is. And you can also do the same thing by going here, and you go up and down from the levels, and you will see, let's see, Aaron Anderson. Okay, this is 2 levels, even 3 levels. It's going to be even more. It's going to, you see. Yeah, you can, if it takes too long, or you're just, okay, well, it didn't take long, but if, let's say I put 4 level here, and it really takes long time, I don't need this much detail, I can just stop the current operation, just when possible, it just stops there, if I already got the information I had. But I think it's pretty interesting to have all the connections between Aaron Anderson and the other elements. This is about it for the relation graph. The relation graph is available in the open source version of the CMDBuild, so no subscription is needed in order to have this feature. Thanks to the relation graph, we're actually working on the impact analysis tool, and which actually will be one of the advanced feature available just for those who have a valid annual subscription with us. One other thing, one other thing I could show you about the relation graph, yeah, is this here. I can go on infrastructure, for example, network devices here. And then you got this power connect. I will open the relation graph for it, and then here basically I just see the what I had before. This is a network device, and with all the objects related to it. Then I can do as we did with the before with the employee. I already did set the logic for this visualization here, which is a filter basically, the network wiring, and I just click on it, and this now is going only to show me the networks that are related to this power connect here. So you got all the other elements, the power connect, the router, okay, so yeah, all the objects that are related to it, and if let's say this network device here has some issues or falls down, which ones will be affected immediately. And actually, if you get more levels, you can know where they are and which rooms and where to operate and all that. So all these was just two quick examples for the relation graph. One other could be about software. Let's say, let's go on the applications. Here you got, well, CMDB, and yeah, relation graph you got here. Just as before, it's quite quick to open up. Here you see you got CMDBuild, of course, and then you got which belongs to this software, which one of these software catalog. He's installed on this physical server here, and you see it's connected. It has this, which has this version of Tomcat, which version of PostgreSQL, and Adam Spencer is connected to CMDBuild. Through here is the contact person or external employee. And these are the elements, the second level for Adam Spencer. So again, depends on everyone which use he does with CMDBuild, but we think that the relation graph really makes much more straightforward the visualization for all the relations between the objects I have in the database. I think I saw there's a lot of questions coming in. Just just go ahead. Feel free to write them all, and I will answer them at the end of this presentation here. I think it's about it for the relation graph. Going back, so this here, okay, we saw this. We saw these three elements for the localization in the easier way for localization, view of the history of the session and the possibility to go back to a previous card I just visited, and of course the relation graph. Other features which I won't really go through, but that are worth mentioning with this new version of CMDBuild 2.4 is the support for the CMIS protocol. As you all know, CMDBuild has been using actually, well, since the beginning of the development of the tool, the open source document management system, which is Alfresco, and as a document repository. So the web service is no longer supported, and this is the reason why actually CMDBuild still necessarily needs the 3.4 version of Alfresco, which was released back in 2010. The new version of CMDBuild 2.4, the one we're presenting today, overcomes this problem and goes really further thanks to this CMIS protocol implementation, which has been realized thanks to one of our biggest contributor, which is the university of one of the biggest university of Italy, the University of Bologna, and which made available to everyone as a contribution to the project. So the CMIS, the Content Management Interoperability Services, is just an open standard that allows different document management systems to interoperate using web protocols supported by the main sector products. So CMDBuild, thanks to this, will use the latest versions of Alfresco, but will also allow integration with other document management systems. For example, Liferay, the open source
scenario or other proprietary softwares. One other, I think it's about it for the CMIS protocol. Of course, in the following releases, the user, of course, will benefit of all the potentialities of this new protocol, starting from this version here, 2.4. Actually, one last thing I'd like to add about the CMIS protocol is that you will be able to implement. You will be able to implement new functionalities and such as possibility to view version history of one document, to include in the advanced search some filters or also some conditions about the files that you're attaching inside the tool, or the possibility to display or preview images of the document. So really opens a world of new possibilities, and which will definitely lead to great new features. Then when we added this new extension in the workflow permission management, thanks to the contribution of one of our supporters, now you can actually even someone which is not included in the workflow permission management, in this workflow, sorry, in one of the workflow, can view even if it's not one of the actor of the workflow. So you can view what has happened during the workflow even without having to be an actor of it. And that's another, so even if you don't participate in the activities of the process, you can still have a view. And that's very helpful for the help desk, for example, which doesn't necessarily is involved into the workflow itself, but still needs to have a view over it. Then we upgraded the tool to Java 8 and Tomcat 8, which are the newest releases for both tools. And we did, as we always do, every day we optimized the performances. We did some bug fixing. So basically, we did some really great work to make it more available, more user friendly, more smooth, with less problems, and just one word, better.